It was a bright Monday morning when a new face entered the office. She walked in slowly, dressed in a simple brown shalwar kameez, holding a small black purse in her hand. Her shoes were flat, her hair tied back neatly, and her eyes calm, like someone who had seen the world and yet remained soft. Her name was Mrs. Zoya. She smiled at the receptionist and softly said, "Good morning. I'm here to join as the assistant." The receptionist raised her eyebrows. She looked at Zoya from head to toe and then turned her face away without smiling back. "You can sit over there. HR will come," she said coldly. Zoya nodded politely and sat down, waiting quietly. In the nearby office room, a group of young employees whispered to each other. "Is that the new assistant?" "She looks like someone's mom. Why would they hire her?" "Maybe she's a charity case." They laughed softly, not knowing Zoya could hear them, but Zoya didn't react. She just looked around the office with kind eyes. She wasn't shocked. She wasn't angry. She was used to being underestimated. The first day begins. The HR manager finally came and showed her to her desk. It was a small corner near the window. The computer was old, the chair uncomfortable. No one offered help. No one welcomed her, but Zoya simply said, "Thank you," and began setting up her space. The day passed slowly. She made tea for the senior manager, arranged files, typed emails, and took phone calls. Every time she did something, she did it with quiet care. Yet, the jokes continued. "She types so slow. Did she bring that lunch from the village? She probably doesn't even know what Excel is." But Zoya never replied. She just smiled softly, the kind of smile that confused people. Was she too innocent or too wise? A small act of kindness. Around 3 p.m., one of the junior employees, Ariba, dropped all her printed reports on the floor. No one helped her. People laughed, but Zoya stood up silently, walked over, and helped her pick up every page. Ariba was surprised. "Thank you. I didn't expect you to help," she said. Zoya simply nodded and replied, "It's okay, Beta. Helping each other is part of the job." That was it. No lecture, no attitude, just kindness. Something feels different. Later that evening, as most employees prepared to leave, Zoya stayed behind, organizing the old filing cabinet, something no one had touched in months. She found dusty reports, old receipts, and even a few missing documents that the finance team had been searching for. She placed them in order and left a note on the finance desk. Then she left quietly. No show, no drama. But one senior staff member noticed. He watched from his glass office as Zoya picked up a forgotten coffee mug from the table and placed it near the sink before leaving. He frowned, not in anger, but in thought. The silence has power. That night, some staff laughed about her again, in their WhatsApp group. "Our new assistant thinks this is a charity house." But one person didn't laugh. Ariba, the same girl Zoya helped, replied, "At least she has manners, something we all forgot." No one replied after that. The suspense begins. The next day, something strange happened. A black car came to the office. It parked outside, and a man in a formal suit stepped out. He walked in, looked around, and asked the receptionist one question. "Is Mrs. Zoya here today?" The receptionist looked shocked. Yes. She's in that corner." The man nodded and smiled. "Good. Please let her know Mr. Ralph," said Salam. And then he left. People were confused. Who was that man? Why did he ask about Zoya? Zoya once again just smiled. She said nothing. Zoya had now spent 1 full week at the office. Every day she came on time. Every day she worked quietly. Every day she was ignored. She didn't complain. She didn't gossip. She didn't try to impress anyone. And maybe that's why they didn't like her. "The games begin one morning," the manager called her. "Zoya, I need this report printed and arranged for the client meeting in 1 hour, he said sharply. She nodded, took the USB, and walked to the printer room. But when she reached there, the printer had no ink. She asked 2 junior boys sitting nearby, "Beta, can you help me with this?" They looked at each other and laughed. "Sorry, Auntie, we're too busy right now." Busy. Watching YouTube videos. She figured it out on her own, found a new cartridge, and got the job done. But when she handed the files to the manager, he didn't say thank you. Instead, he said, "Took you long enough." She nodded and went back to her desk, still calm. The cruel laughter. That afternoon, a few girls from marketing were having lunch together. Zoya sat alone in the break room with her small tiffin, 2 roti and a little sabzi. One girl whispered loudly enough for Zoya to hear, "Oof, what's that smell? These desi lunches should be banned." Another laughed. "Maybe she doesn't know there's a microwave in the office." Zoya heard it, but instead of reacting, she slowly packed her food and left the room. The copying incident. The next day, someone placed a bunch of files on Zoya's table. No name, no instructions, just dumped on her desk. She assumed it was for copying and filing. She worked on them for hours, making copies, organizing, stapling. At 4 p.m., a staff member ran to her desk. "Zoya, did you touch those files?" "Yes. I thought they were—" "Oh my God, those were raw documents. You weren't supposed to copy them. Who told you to do this?" Everyone looked at her. Some rolled their eyes. One whispered, "Now she's causing problems too." Zoya calmly said, "I didn't know. They were placed on my table without a note." But no one listened. The staffer left angrily, Ariba's guilt. Ariba watched all this from a distance. She felt ashamed. She remembered how Zoya had helped her last week. But today, she also stayed silent. Maybe I should say something, she thought. But fear stopped her. The strange visitor. Returns that Friday, the same black car returned. Same man. Same question. "Is Mrs. Zoya in today?" This time, the receptionist stood up and asked politely, "Should I call her?" The man smiled. "No need. Just tell her Mr. Ralph asked if she got the flowers." Flowers. Everyone was confused again. Zoya. Received a bouquet that evening. No card, no name, just one sentence on a note. "You are stronger than they know." She placed the flowers on her table and smiled softly. But now, people were curious. The jealousy. Begins. When the office noticed Zoya getting flowers, the mocking stopped. But something worse began. Jealousy. Who sends her flowers? Is she connected to someone rich? Is she pretending to be poor? They started watching her closely. Some even tried to be fake nice. But Zoya stayed the same, simple, quiet, consistent. The moment that broke her one day, a group photo was being taken of the office team for the company newsletter. Zoya stood at the side, smiling softly. Just before the photo was clicked, someone from HR said loudly, "Oh, wait, can we remove extra people who don't need to be in the picture?" Everyone knew what that meant. Zoya quietly stepped out of the frame. No one stopped. Her. The photo was taken without her. She went back to her desk. And that evening, she didn't take the company van home. She walked. Alone. The mood in the office had changed. People were no longer laughing at Zoya loudly, but they still ignored her. Some had started watching her with suspicion. Others avoided eye contact, and a few even felt guilty. But still said nothing. Zoya, as always, arrived on time, did her duties, and stayed calm. But something inside her had shifted. She wasn't just observing anymore. She was preparing. The misuse scandal. One morning, a finance intern accidentally dropped a file on the floor. Papers scattered everywhere. Zoya bent down to help pick them up. As she did, Her eyes paused on one paper, a printed invoice for expensive office furniture. But she knew that no such furniture ever came. She had been organizing office supplies for weeks. She knew exactly what was purchased. "Rs. 420,000 for a conference table?" she whispered under her breath. That wasn't normal. She quietly noted the invoice number, stood up, and said nothing. The quiet investigation Zoya began staying after office hours, not to gossip, not to earn overtime, but to go through the old records, purchase files, vendor payments, meeting notes. No one noticed. They thought she was just slow or lonely, but Zoya was collecting something powerful. Truth. Within 5 days, she had found multiple fake purchases, missing receipts, and false signatures. The same people who mocked her were part of it. She didn't get angry. She just documented everything, neatly, with proof. Then, one evening, she opened her personal email and began typing. The mysterious email, her email was short and clear. She wrote to someone with the name Mr. Qureshi, board member, in the subject line. "Dear Sir, I wish to report some serious issues in the accounts of this branch. I have attached the necessary documents. I'm doing this because I believe this company still stands for truth. Regards, Zoya Akhtar." She attached the report, took a deep breath, and clicked send. Then she leaned back, closed her eyes, and smiled for the first time in weeks. The office gets nervous. 2 days later, the entire office received an email. "The board of directors will be visiting next week. Please make sure all records are complete and updated. A surprise audit may be conducted." Panic broke out. People rushed to fix documents. Some even tried to delete emails and clean up files. Zoya simply kept working as usual. No one knew she was the reason behind the visit. The manager's reaction: the branch manager called an urgent meeting. He looked stressed, his hands shaking slightly. "Someone from this office has reported irregularities. If I find out who it is, there will be consequences." Everyone stayed silent. Zoya sat in the back, writing notes as usual. No fear in her eyes, no guilt, just quiet strength. Ariba finds. Out that evening, Ariba stayed late to calm. It had been 4 days since the email from the board arrived, and now, the office didn't feel normal anymore. People walked quietly in the hallways. No one laughed loudly. The gossip groups were now whisper groups. Everyone was trying to act innocent. But one name kept coming up again and again: Zoya. Who is she really? It started with a whisper. "Who is this Zoya auntie really? She joined as an assistant. But somehow the board is coming after her report?" Then someone added, "She gets flowers from a man in a black car. I heard she worked in the government before. Maybe she's a spy, or someone's relative from the top." No one knew the truth, and that made them scared. They had laughed at her, insulted her, ignored her. And now they were wondering, did we make a big mistake? The manager gets worried. The branch manager, Mr. Imran, was sweating all day. He kept checking his phone. He made extra visits to the accounts room. He even started greeting Zoya politely. "Good morning, Zoya G. You're doing well, right?" Zoya looked at him with calm eyes. "Yes, sir. Thank you." He tried to smile back, but inside, his heart was shaking. He was the one who signed most of the fake documents, and now he wasn't sure how much Zoya knew. The board's message on. Thursday morning, a new email arrived. Subject: official visit. Friday, 11 a.m. sharp. Signed by Mr. Qureshi, Senior Board Director. The office froze. People were cleaning desks, fixing records, calling vendors. Even the HR department held a fake training session just to look active. But Zoya? She just dusted her small corner desk and began typing a regular memo like it was any other day. Old enemies, new faces, 3 of the employees who used to mock her the most, Zara, Waleed, and Kashif, walked over to her desk. Zara smiled and said, Zoya, gee, you've been doing such a good job. We were just talking about how peaceful the office feels when you're around. Waleed added, Yes, yes. You're like the calm heart of this team. Zoya looked at them, then smiled softly. Thank you. It's always nice to be seen. Her voice was soft, but her words hit hard. Zara blinked. Waleed scratched his head. Kashif just stood there awkwardly. They walked away quickly, embarrassed. Ariba had changed. She now brought Zoya tea in the afternoons. She sat with her during breaks, and most of all, she started standing up for her. When another colleague whispered something rude about Zoya, Ariba replied, Be careful what you say. The truth is coming. Tomorrow. That shut everyone up. The night before. Thursday night, Zoya stayed late again. She checked her files one last time. She placed the internal report in a neat envelope. Then she opened her drawer and took out something no one had seen before, an old ID card. The card read, Zoya Akhtar, Deputy Director, National Audit Bureau, retired. She stared at it for a moment, then placed it inside the envelope with the report. It was time. The office guard speaks. Even the office security guard, Salim Bai, had heard the rumors. As Zoya walked out that evening, he stopped her and said quietly, Baji, are you someone big? Zoya smiled. No, Salim Bai. I'm just someone who believes in doing the right thing. He saluted her out of respect. The suspense grows at home that night. Ariba couldn't sleep. She kept thinking, who is Zoya, really? Why does she never get angry? Why does she never shout back? She finally understood. Zoya was not silent because she was weak. She was silent because she was watching, waiting, preparing. Friday morning was different. It felt like a storm was coming. But the sky outside was clear. Inside the office, hearts were racing, papers were being arranged, laptops were being cleaned, fake smiles were being practiced, and every single person was asking the same question in their mind. What's going to happen today? Zoya arrives at exactly 9 a.m. Zoya stepped into the office, just like she did every day. She wore her usual simple dress, no makeup, no jewelry, just peace on her face. She walked to her desk, placed her bag down, and began. Reading her notes, no drama, no fear, as if today was just another normal Friday. But it wasn't. The cars pull in at 10:45 a.m. sharp. 3 black SUVs pulled up in front of the building. Men in suits stepped out. One of them, an older man with gray hair and sharp eyes, walked ahead. His name? Mr. Qureshi, Senior Board Director. Everyone stood. The receptionist quickly offered tea. HR rushed to bring chairs. The manager tried to act friendly. Mr. Qureshi nodded once. Where is Mrs. Zoya Akhtar? He asked calmly. Silence. Eyes widened. Some. Mouths dropped open. Zoya, the manager repeated. You mean our office assistant? She's not just an assistant, Mr. Qureshi replied. She's the reason we're here. Shocked faces. The manager forced a smile. Of course, she's inside. Please come. As Mr. Qureshi walked in, everyone moved out of the way. No one was laughing now. No one was mocking now. They were scared. Zoya stands up. When Mr. Qureshi entered, Zoya stood with respect. He smiled warmly. Zoya Sahiba, it's been a long time. She nodded. Thank you for coming, sir. He looked around. I read your report. Very detailed, very brave. She handed him the envelope with the original documents and her old ID card. Mr. Qureshi looked at the ID, smiled again, and said loudly enough for everyone to hear, You all should be proud to work with her. This woman was once Deputy Director of the National Audit Bureau. Her reports used to shake ministries. Now the room was completely silent. People who had mocked her roti, who laughed at her anti-dress, who tried to remove her from the photo, were now frozen in shame. The audit begins. The board split into teams. They checked emails, documents, computer logs. Zoya guided them, showing files she had prepared. Every question they had, she answered clearly. The manager tried to explain. "Sir, there must be a mistake. Maybe she didn't understand." But Mr. Qureshi interrupted him. "No, you don't understand. This woman uncovered a scam that our full audit team missed." The truth comes out by 1 p.m. It was clear. Fake. Purchases. Fake vendors. Money transferred to personal accounts. And the people behind it? Some were the same ones who laughed the loudest. Zoya didn't celebrate. She just watched. Quietly. The board's decision. Mr. Qureshi called everyone into the meeting room. He stood at the front and spoke. This office was running like a drama show. No discipline, no honesty, but one person, who everyone ignored, brought back the truth. He turned to Zoya. "From today, we are promoting Mrs. Zoya Akhtar as Senior Compliance Officer for this region." Gasps filled the room. The same woman they refused to include in a photo was now going to lead them. The manager's apology, Mr. Imran, the manager, stood up. "Zoya ji, I'm sorry. We treated you badly. We judged you without knowing your worth." Zoya looked at him and said calmly, "It's okay. Life always teaches in its own way." The new Zoya, she didn't change. Her dressing. She didn't change her voice. She didn't take revenge. She didn't shout. But now everyone stood when she entered the room. Not out of fear, but out of respect. The office felt like a new place. The walls were the same. The desks were the same. Even the people were the same. But something had changed deeply. It was Zoya. Not because she had a new title now. Not because the board respected her, but because she had earned something no money could buy. True respect, a quiet start to her new role. On Monday morning, Zoya entered the office quietly, just like always, but this time, everyone stood up. Even the receptionist smiled warmly. "Good morning, Madam Zoya." She paused, then said gently, "Just call me Zoya." No revenge people expected her to shout now, to take revenge, to fire those who laughed at her. But Zoya didn't change her heart. She only changed her purpose. Instead of punishing people, she started teaching them. Ariba's growth. Ariba was now her assistant. Every morning, Zoya gave her tasks that included review reports, data entry, and ethics guidelines. One day, Ariba asked her, "Zoya G, why didn't you ever shout back at people?" Zoya looked up and smiled. "Because shouting doesn't change hearts. Actions do." Ariba nodded slowly. "I want to be like you one day." Zoya patted her hand. "Then start by being kind, even when it's hard." New office rules. Zoya called a small meeting, not in a boardroom, but in the common area. She stood in front of the team and said, "From now on, this office will follow 3 simple rules. Speak to each other with respect. No mocking or bullying, ever. Always tell the truth, even if it's difficult." Some people felt uncomfortable, but most felt relieved. Because deep down, they were tired too. Tired of the toxic culture. Helping the guard one rainy evening, Zoya was leaving late when she noticed Salim Bai, the office guard, coughing badly. She went to the medical room, picked up a warm blanket, and gave it to him. "You're not just a guard. You're part of this office too," she said. Salim Bai had tears in his eyes. No one had ever treated him like that before. Forgiveness. Even the people who used to laugh at her, Zara, Walid, and Kashif, slowly began to change. One afternoon, they walked to her desk together. Zara spoke first. "Zoya G, We want to say sorry. We were wrong. We judged you. Zoya nodded. Thank you for saying that. Apology is the first step to becoming better people. She didn't forget how they treated her. But she chose forgiveness over anger, and that made her even greater. Letters from the top one morning, a letter arrived from the board. It was framed in gold with the words, "In recognition of her honesty, courage, and leadership, we honor Mrs. Zoya Akhtar as one of the most inspiring women in our company's history." The letter was placed in the main hall, where everyone could see it every day. Some stared in awe, others in shame. But everyone knew now, Zoya had rewritten what power truly meant. Young employee. It had been 3 months since the board's visit. The office was no longer filled with gossip and judgment. Now it was filled with respect, learning, and peace, and at the heart of it all was Zoya. Every day she came in quietly, did her work, guided others, and left without making a big deal. But little did she know, a big surprise was waiting. The board plans. Something special. One afternoon, Mr. Qureshi from the head office called Ariba. "We want to honor Zoya Madam in a special way," he said, "but it has to be a surprise." Ariba smiled. "Sir, I will make sure of it." The team got to work secretly. No one said a word to Zoya, not even the security guard, not even the, peon. Everyone wanted to give her something unforgettable. The day of the event. The office was decorated with soft white flowers, no loud banners, no loud music, just elegance and silence, just like Zoya herself. Zoya came to work that day like any other. She saw the decorations and asked Ariba, "Is there a birthday today?" Ariba smiled and replied, "You'll see soon, Zoya ji." Zoya laughed gently and walked to her desk. An unexpected visit. At 11 a.m., the elevator door opened. Everyone stood up. Zoya looked confused. From the elevator, Mr. Qureshi entered, followed by Zoya's son, who had flown in from abroad. She stood in shock. "Ahmed? You're here?" He hugged her tightly. "Yes, Ami. The world is now learning what I've always known. You are extraordinary." Tears filled Zoya's eyes. The ceremony. The entire office gathered in the common hall. Mr. Qureshi stood at the center and said, "3 months ago, we came here thinking it was just a regular audit. We left discovering the heart and soul of this branch. Zoya Akhtar." He turned toward her. "You taught us that silence is not weakness, that real power lies in patience, honesty, and dignity." Then, with a small hand gesture, a velvet box was brought forward. Inside was a gold medal with the company's emblem and her name. Zoya Akhtar, the woman who changed everything. The hall clapped. Some even cried. Zoya stood with hands folded. "Thank you. But I did only what felt right." Gifts that touched the heart. But the medal wasn't the only gift. Ariba stepped forward with something wrapped in brown paper. "We made this for you, Zoya ji." Zoya opened it carefully. Inside was a photo frame. It had 2 pictures side by side. The first was the old staff photo where she had been cut out. The second was a new team photo, with Zoya in the center, smiling, respected, and loved, written at the bottom, "From invisible to unforgettable." Zoya's eyes filled with tears. "I don't need anything else. This is enough."